panic disorder, rage, severe depression. On top of all that, I'm stressing. Took a blind date to my therapy session and then tried to kill her. Her first impression was I'm groovy, I need a lumbotomy. But when I press play, trouble leaves up out of me. Fuck the real world and my fat ass stuck in. Cause in my music, hotties are fucking expression, getting out all I wrote. Depression, ripping out all your throat. And if my hearing was ever to go, mass murder would be inevitable.
Welcome to Maniacal Music Musings. This is your host, Jeremy, and I'm shaking these chains off of me. There's a change on the rise, though I'm still a Jesus in wolf skin. I've been playing with my phantom limb. What's the worst that could happen? I know my sins, and they know me, but I'll get by. My co-host, though, he's been known to partake in a Purgatory dance party, but he ain't performing no Harakiri. He hates reality TV and is used to the deafening silence of an uneducated democracy. But like a butterfly with occupied tears, he's here with his cornucopia of music tastes to bless us all. Motherfucking Chancy Gripe!
What's up?
Not much besides a kid that doesn't want to listen at all. And our guest tonight, I was on her show, her podcast, Ho on the Go, but she is entertaining as could be. C A Kanooble, the stand-up comedian and podcast host. How you doing today, Christy? Because I don't know what else to call you. The A seems weird.
I'm good. It's cold and wet, but I'm hanging in there.
Well, ain't nothing wrong with being cold and wet. It happens. But
I'd rather get hot and wet. Those are my two favorite combinations. So.
I'll break out my lube. But as always on this show, we like to start with our guest album first. Which,
yeah.
Why don't you tell us what album you brought to the table and why you love it and why you brought it to us?
With all the fire we can breathe, we're singing all day and you can't tame it. High tide, low tide, night time, the morning time, yeah. We're going strong, heading up, down the river. Oh Lord, I feel the reveling, I feel a change on the rise.
So I chose Avi Kaplan for, first of all, he's my favorite artist. I love his music. I love his vibe. I'm pretty sure he only has one album out now, so that's the one I chose. But I think there's only maybe one song out of 7 that are on there that I don't vibe with. I love them all so much. I actually heard it by accident through a friend's Facebook or Instagram story. He had Change on the Rise as one of the songs I was playing in the background, and I fell in love with it. And I've literally listened to that song almost every day since, and that was over a year ago. So,
well, we'll get into your top 5 in a minute, and you could tell us which song that is that really speaks to you the most.
Okay.
But I'll give my review while Chancy gets back on here.
Okay.
And I didn't know what to expect when I heard your album. I just didn't know what to expect. Like, he looked familiar, but I couldn't picture where I knew him from. And
so, fun fact, he's actually from the Pentatonics, just so you know.
From the what?
Pentatonics.
The Pentatonics. It's an a cappella group, but then he left and went solo.
I know
he's like one of the only ones that hasn't died of a heroin overdose.
Jesus.
I have a dark sense of humor if you hadn't picked up from the Bracket Bastards episode.
I picked it up.
Yeah, I mean, I know who they are. I just never really was a big fan of them. I mean, my mom used to watch America's Got Talent all the time, and I'd see them on there. But and apparently someone agrees that Pentatonic are dope. I'm guessing.
They are dope.
I don't know if that's CL or Jamie or who. Give us a name, people, because if you say Facebook user, you're 1 in a million, or 1 in a billion. More
yeah,
like
you have to allow StreamYard to access to your information.
People don't get that, but
well, it doesn't work for my page because I'm a business page. So
Oh, well, that's different though. But most people aren't. But oh, it's the head bastard himself,
Hey, Freddie.
Freddie Fisher,
Hey.
and
See, that's
Josh
weird. I don't.
Josh
It
Williams
usually.
said it best.
Oh yeah, yeah. But it's weird though, because Freddie always used to pop up like as
Yeah.
himself.
I don't know. I can't explain why StreamYard does what it does, but it gives me good quality for podcasting, and that's all I like about it. That's what I like about it. So,
I love StreamYard.
but Abby Kaplan, I mean, when I listened to I started listening to one of his songs, and I'm trying to think of a band I could bring up to match his, and I'm like, I don't know, but eventually I found one. Oh, I think Freddie's telling you to hush, but I will say that he actually is not bad. Like, I can listen to his music and not get bored out of my mind like I have with some of the people that guests have brought on. So
Yeah.
I mean, I got a top 5. There's only 7 songs in the CD, so I can't say there's honorable mentions, but there's definitely a top 5. But Chancy, what did you think of Sir Avi? And apparently Josh says never.
Oh yeah, he'll never shut the fuck up. That's valid.
I believe it.
So, okay, first off, I didn't get the chance to say this beforehand because we kind of had all the technical issues on my end and then went straight live. So, I generally come up with roasts for these albums, whether they're mine, yours, his, doesn't matter. Do not take anything that I say as a direct reflection of my opinion of you or anything of that capacity. Most of it's for comedic effect. I do have to say, though, that I have never heard such churchy music that actually wanted me to make me eat a bullet in my entire life.
It was churchy as hell. I'll give it that. It was churchy as hell, and
I was not. I was very surprised. I'm a Slytherin in the house, and it's like, oh, okay. So there, I don't know what I'm not sure what I'm expecting. And then I listened to the album,
I'm not gonna lie, it was between him and Slipknot, and I figured I'd go with this because it's a little bit different.
Oh,
I mean, you could have went Slipknot. I mean, it'd been we've already had Slipknot on as at one of their albums, but you could have totally picked any one of their other albums and have been totally fine.
Yeah, but it would have been too hard for me to pick just 5. That's the issue.
See, I had the same problem with my album too.
That's why there's honorable mentions right there. In case it's too hard to pick 5. Because it's like being at a strip club. You don't want to pick just one. You want to pick 10. But
right, I guess.
Yeah. We have at least 2 favorites, but never 10 at a strip club. The rest of them look busted.
Nah, I don't do strip clubs.
Hey, I've only been to one, and I got 6 lap dances. So yeah.
I prefer sex clubs personally, but that's a different topic of conversation.
I can't find where they exist. So if you can lead me to some in Massachusetts, I might have to go check them out.
Send me your area, and I got you.
I mean, I've seen some online, but they ain't the type of clubs I want to be in. But
the one I go to, I live in Philadelphia, is top tier. So much fun.
And Freddie says same, because he might want to go to some of them too in out there in Iowa, which I doubt they have any. If they do, they're probably wearing the old Mormon dresses and shit. But all right. So we all give our reviews of your album. Why don't you give us your top 5 first? Which your top 5 when I can't put those on the screen, but go ahead and give it to us.
All right. So number 1, without a doubt, is "Change on the Rise." It's the first song I ever heard, and it literally gives me bad bitch energy. It makes me feel like I'm ready to take on the world as soon as I listen to it. For my second one, I picked sorry, hold on. "It Knows Me," just because it's a happy, cheerful song. And beyond
you call that a cheerful song?
What was that? It is a cheerful song. It's kind of like accepting your light and dark parts, and accepting that just accepting yourself fully, kind of, for me. That's the vibe I get from it. And for the third one, I'll Get By. I don't know why I put that third, because it's kind of my second favorite. It's a song that I listened to when I lost my little sister, and it really helped me through my grieving process, really heavily. So It's pretty deep, and a lot of his songs have these upbeat tones to it, but the lyrics are really powerful and really deep. So that's a real reason I really like his music. For the fourth one, I picked Chains. It's just kind of being weighed down by your problems and still kind of finding your way around it. And then the fifth one, I picked Sweet Adeline. So
We actually had 2 matchups, like by number.
I don't
Two
think we
matchups?
did.
Yeah, 2 of them matched up exactly by number.
very
Well,
nice.
I don't think
Hopefully, it's
I don't think we
because
did.
Change on the Rise is number one.
No,
Okay, well,
not for me.
definitely not for me either. But I'll do my top 5 next because as 7 songs, number 5 I picked only because I had to pick a number 5, and it was "I'll Get By." Number 4 was "It Knows Me" because I love the line, "I know my sins and they know me." Like, I love that line. Like, it's just perfect. Like, it describes me perfectly because I know what I do wrong in the world, and everything I do wrong knows it's me doing it. So I'm 100% behind that line. Number 3 is "Change on the Rise" because I've heard that song before. Like, that's a commercial, like, TV show song that they use. Like, I've heard that song in something before. I know I have, without a doubt. Number 2 was "Chains" because I can relate to that. I can relate to being held down by something and, like, having to break free from it. Talk about my exes right there. But 100%. Number 1 though. Oof, number 1 was "Sweet Adeline Part 2," which "Sweet Adeline Part 2," I mean, I'm a sucker for a good love song, and I love a good Irish rock type song, and that had both of them in it. So 100%, that was my number 1. So yeah, that's my top 5. The other 2 songs I couldn't get into. But on a CD of 7 songs, the top 5 is a pretty damn easy thing to do. So, Chancy, what were your top 5?
I was hoping she'd be here for this so I could see the look on her face when I did it.
Just draw out your answers and she may pop back in.
I actually, as soon as I saw that there were 7 songs on the CD, I was like, oh, I know exactly what the fuck I'm doing. So I have 2 honorable mentions. Number 7 for my honorable mentions is "Change on the Rise."
Really?
Number 6 was "Born in California."
I couldn't get into that song.
Number 5 was "Sweet Adeline Part 2," although I was kind of pissed that I could never find Part 1, but that's how it is, it's just like, it's like those weird X-rated movies that have like a million sequels that you never heard of. So number 4 is "It Knows Me."
Oh, we matched.
Yep. Number 3 is "I'll Get By." Number 2 was "Full Moon." And number 1 was "Chains." And the whole time I was listening to it, it was like I was just kept waiting for a collection plate to get past my way.
I could see that. I mean, especially if you're in like a Baptist church or something. But yeah.
Right. Get the plate on the other side. Get that plate on the other side.
Pass that plate around. Pass that plate around now, say. But yeah, Christy, if it's a black screen, back out and come back in again. Just like a fun Saturday night. But
Saturday.
Saturday night's all right. But yeah, that was a couple days ago we did that. And that'll be dropping soon, folks, our Elton John bracket. Probably after this episode comes out, I imagine. But I'm not positive yet. We do have a second bracket coming up at the end of the month, and we're gonna see what we can do. I'm gonna see what I can do release-wise between now and then. But because that one's getting dropped on Halloween, hint hint. Chancy, do you want to go your CD or next or mine? Because I know we're
Let's
both
go with
passionate
yours
about our
next.
CD.
Let's go with
All
yours
right.
next, because mine's I mean, I don't, mine's, you always want to save the best for last.
So my so mine last then?
No, definitely not.
Oh, you a-hole. But all right, well, we'll do my album next, and hopefully she can get figured out why I talk about it. Because my album, which I love this album, and
We're the gamers deciding to fly against the sky. Within our dreams we all wake up to kiss the ones who are born to die. We're the gamers, hurting each other with our lives. Within our dreams we all wake up to kiss the ones who
I've been a big fan of System of a Down since like 2004 or 5 when their last 2 CDs came out. Like that's when I got into them, was like when Hypnotize and
Mesmerize, the double
when those
album, the horrible double album they threw together to get out of their contract.
Horrible my ass. They are amazing albums.
Horrible. It's like no, not even able horror. It's like dude. It was so bad. My phone literally just tried to commit Harakiri. All right.
But no, I mean,
for
those
real.
Those two albums what really got me to System of a Down. Then I mean, I heard of like a couple other songs beforehand from like Toxicity and whatnot, but like those 2 albums are the first 2 albums I ever bought of System of a Down. That like I would
You're
blast
missing
my
out.
car.
You're missing out. You're missing out.
I've heard all their albums since then, trust me. But I mean, I heard all their albums as of 20 years ago. But I will say that I love System of a Down. I love Scars on Broadway, the other singer for System of a Down's band that he does, which will come in here eventually. Don't get me wrong. They've only done 2 CDs, just like, well, Serj has done
Man,
more
I
than
hope
that,
it's better than this one, because I'll get to mine in a second, but I have a theory.
Listen, motherfucker. But no, Serj's solo albums, I've said this before in this show, but his first solo album was amazing. It was
Vote for the Dead or whatever.
I like the Dead, yeah.
Yeah, that one.
But it was kind of like generic, because like any rock artist could have done that CD and 100% like
trash
CD,
fire.
like it had some good songs, but it was, and I mean I like most songs of that album, but it's stuff that anybody, I could have written it. Like I could have written those songs, but I mean, but he put
same with this. Like literally, it was rinse and repeat.
No,
every song was rinse and repeat. Literally, lyrically speaking, you got verse, chorus, maybe a different verse, chorus, same verses, first verse, chorus, out.
Yeah, but see, his second solo CD he did, I didn't like at all. It was completely different from the first one, and from this one, I didn't like it at all.
Right.
And then he came out with this out of nowhere, and this is one of my favorite CDs ever. Especially when I get into like a.
I'm sorry, I'm shitting on your favorite CD. I really am, because we're friends. But like, honestly, well, I couldn't pick a top 5 until I sat my down. I had to sit down and force myself on both albums, not just yours.
Motherfucker, can I finish?
Sorry. Yeah, I'm trying to drag this out so that way.
Yeah, well, let me finish. I'll drag it out. Don't worry about that. Don't worry about that now. See, but this CD right here, like this CD brought back some system sounds to it, some system lyrics to it. I mean, in the one song, he basically says like, "Down with the system," like almost like he's saying "fuck the system." So it basically brings system lyrics back into it, and it's like, no, I mean, in this CD, like whenever I want to bring my political warrior, eco warrior side out, which I don't do often because I really don't give a shit about the way the world is going, but when I do, this CD is what does it, because this CD makes you think about things. It makes you like just look at the issues in the world like in a different way. Like his words are so metaphorical and so talking about everything going on in the world. That's just
more like metaphorical. Sorry, dude. I couldn't help
No,
myself.
I don't think so, because this CD speaks volumes, and I think anybody can hear it. Like, that's the good thing, is anybody can hear it because he doesn't try to complicate it too much. Like, he keeps it somewhat simple, but like you have to think on some of the songs, like, what is he really talking about? Like, he does a song called Butterfly, and you have to think, like, what is he really saying? He's not talking about a damn butterfly. What is he really talking about? And he's talking about a lot of different things in that song, but we'll get into that in my top 5. But since our guest hasn't been able to get back on yet, what do you think of the album, Chancy?
Honestly, dude, every single song on this album would have been made infinitely better if fucking System of a Down had done it themselves. And
Well,
I
no
mean,
shit.
I
Well,
mean,
no
like
shit.
flat out from the music to the lyrics, literally everything. It's almost like when it reminded me of Serj being at summer camp and missing his friends and writing them a letter and being homesick and wanting to go home. Like I just it. There was like one song, and I don't even remember it. I think it may be Uneducated Democracy. I don't remember. But it was like the only song that came out with a fucking. It just came out hard like System used to. But then it was just like, all right, let's back it up a little bit. It was depressing. It depressed me. It made me fucking
Well,
sad.
it's not System of a Down. It's not.
I know,
He wanted to do his own thing, and
and it's
Darren
bad. They need
and
to get
Darren
back
Malakian.
together and
They,
fucking put
it's been
this
talked
shit.
about. It's been talking about for years, but they haven't done it yet.
I know.
Besides like 2 or 3 tracks they released like last year. But
Right. But still, though, I mean, like, honestly, if they took this album and remastered it through System of a Down, fucking, it would be a banger. Like, solid.
Trust me, it would be. But I like that he has his own sound and his own. I love his voice.
Like,
his voice
no,
is what makes him.
it sounds like cats fucking, dude. Like, literally, it sounds like cats fucking. It's like it's sad because like it's almost like you just don't quite realize how much each of the other members contributed. Like Serj doesn't do any gutturals in this, which is he did great gutturals, especially in Sugar. And then
but Sugar was when they were first like a punk band. And like they first came out in the scene.
Toxicity
like,
was harder than fucking self-titled. So is Steal This Album. Steal This Album, self-titled, and Toxicity were fucking hard, balls to the wall bangers.
I mean, they were. Don't get me wrong. I love those albums. I mean, I'm not that big a fan of the self-titled, but I like the other two better. But I only like a couple songs in the self-titled. But
yeah, I'm same. I'm with you on that. Like, I'm a fan of a couple of them off self-titled, but like Toxicity, dude, fucking Deer Dance, fucking Jet Pilot.
Don't get me wrong. Toxicity will be on this show eventually because I can listen to all Toxicity and all
for sure
album over and over again. I did in high school all the time, but it's just.
It was just like it was one of the like for me it felt like an experimental album gone horribly wrong that had too overt of a politicized message. Like I have no problem with politicized messages because I'm a huge fan of like Rage Against the Machine and other bands of the like, but at the same time, like the music helped to carry the politicized message. And in this album, it just failed to do that for me.
See, I disagree.
I understand it's your favorite album. Of course you're going to disagree.
No. It's not my favorite album by far.
Well, as far as for Serj.
I mean, it's my favorite Serj album, 100%.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
I mean, I used to, and back in 2012, 13, when this came out, like I used to fucking sit in my work parking lot on lunch and blast this CD because I love this CD. Like, I mean, his voice is just magical the way he sings, and like, what nationality are they again? I feel horrible for an ass, but what nationality are they? Armenian. Okay, I thought so. I wanted to say Albanian, but I was like, no, that's wrong. But Armenian, yeah. And I mean, I like how they sing about like things that affected their country, and like their past and all that. Like I like they do
Right.
that, and whoever the guitar player is in the CD, he does a damn good job because a lot of these
Oh,
there's not many of these songs like I say I hate the music on.
I mean, I could agree to that, but it's just for me the music and the music and the words just they're not simpatico. It's like they fit like a tight shoe. Like it fits, but just barely.
Well, I mean, it's like when me and my wife get together, it fits, but just barely. But
I mean, I guess, but
or you, Mr. Quarters, but
I was gonna say it reminds me of a Rodney Dangerfield joke because I got home from work. I got off of work early and I came home and I saw some guy in bed with my wife and I said, "Hey, who told you you could fuck my wife?" He said, "Everybody."
yeah, I would choke a bitch, but but that's me. But all right, Christy can't get back on yet. She's not even seeing my messages. I'm guessing she has Wi-Fi issues or phone issues at this point. So I'll give my top 5 for my album, plus my honorable
Okay.
mentions, and then you can go ahead.
I have honorable mention. Every album had honorable mentions this time around. I wanted to be fair.
Oh no, both yours and mine do, but hers just didn't. There's only 2 songs left, and
I
didn't.
did it on
I
purpose just because it's 7 songs. I was like, "Fuck it,
I
I'm
mean,
putting the whole album on." I mean, I
well, no,
think actually that's a record for. Isn't that a record for the show? Like, isn't this the first time that the whole ass album's been included in some capacity without it being like a pulling a
honorable
J?
mention. Well, I mean, anybody can pull a J anytime they want, giggity.
Bah.
But yeah, I mean, I mean, it is a first, I think, because I think it's the lowest tracks we ever had on a CD.
I was gonna
But
do a 5-track Primus album.
oh, thank God you didn't. But
I was really gonna. I was gonna be like, "Fuck you, Jeremy."
you could have. I would just label them. I would just put them in the order of like to dislike. But
Right.
and
But
then I would
still,
leave
it'd
it
have
to
been
it from the
funny as fuck
5-track
all.
CD. But yeah, but my top 5 on this one, I have 4 honorable mentions, and the first one is "Occupy Tears," because to me that is classic System of a Down song and lyrics. Like that's a classic sound of System of a Down, and that's a classic lyrics of System of a Down. Like "Occupy Tears" reminds me of a System song, which I almost wonder if Darren came back to sing on that one with him.
I don't
I
believe so.
I mean, but I don't know. Darren, I love Darren's sound too. Like it's amazing that after you listen to him and after you listen to Scars on Broadway, like you could tell who's singing what part because I never could till I listened to them separately. Like I always thought it
Yeah,
was
no,
one
I
singer.
can always tell them apart.
I always thought it was one singer for the longest time till I realized they had separate bands and stuff. That I started listening to the separate stuff, and I was like, oh, they have 2 singers. Like I thought Serj was just really good at like imitating his voice, to sound like other people. But my next honorable mention is Ching Time mainly because I love the part where they do like the Islamic Arabic like chanting at the end of it. Like I love that sound of that. Like when they do that, it's supposed to be like melodical and not like the "We're coming to kill you" like chant, but like the melodical like
I mean,
religious
you
chant.
know, sometimes
But
they're the same, but you know.
sometimes, but when they have like the melodic religious chant, like it's just amazing, and I love the way that they do that. And I think it's Serj doing that, and that's how skilled he is that he can make it sound good
Yeah.
in a song. My next honorable mention was Butterfly because I do love that. I do love that song. Like, see the moth turn into a butterfly, like that you can make beautiful out of anything. Like that's the point of the song, and it's just amazing.
Yeah.
And my last honorable mention, only because it couldn't make it in my top 5 because there's too many other good ones, was "Uneducated Democracy," which that honestly reminds me of a System song too. Because if you don't have an educated democracy, you only have hypocrisy. Like I love those lyrics. Like that reminds me of System lyrics. And without educated democracy, there is no democracy. Like that's perfect. Like System lyrics right there. Because it's true, and it's the United States because there is no democracy because people have fucked up fucking democracy, and people are not educated enough to really make their own minds up on things. Like they follow the freaking black sheep they want to follow. Like they don't.
Well, I mean,
make their own-
technically, America's not a democracy anyway, but
Technically, it is supposed to be.
no, it's not. It's a constitutional republic.
But we
Don't
vote
you
for
remember
our-
your
we-
Pledge of Allegiance?
Yes, but we vote for our leaders, which makes us a democracy.
No, that's the thing. That's why it's called a constitutional. It's a representative constitutional republic. I mean, there are elements of democracy by way of voting for representatives, but it is a constitutional republic. Because, like I said, in the Pledge of Allegiance, it's not and for the democracy for which it stands, or and to the democracy for which it stands. I mean,
Well,
holy shit!
what?
Freddie just sent this massive like TikTok thing on the group chat, and it was like just like all you can, because you know when you see it, it just shows like what's said, and it's like a bunch of code. It's like, what the fuck?
But my number 5 was Deafening Silence, because I love the lyrics, "Here to paint you with my tears."
Yeah.
Like, those lyrics are so so sad yet so like meaningful. Like, I'm gonna paint you with my tears because that's how much you upset me. Like, I have that many tears. Like, oof.
Right.
Like, I couldn't imagine having enough tears ever to paint somebody. Like, I haven't cried that much in my life since I was a little kid. So, I mean, like, that just to me is almost unimaginable. But my number 4 is Cornucopia. Like, because I mean, it opens the CD, but it's just such a beautiful song. Like, it's all about ecological like state on Earth, and it's like, we fuck the Earth and don't know why it cries. Like,
That's like literally one of the lyrics. Like every other part of it just makes no sense at all.
well,
As
that's
far
part
as
of
the
it.
verse.
Yes,
That
that is the chorus.
no,
But,
the last line of the verse is we rape the earth and wonder why it strikes.
well, another one of the lyrics of the verse is, "We fuck the Earth and we don't know why it cries."
That's another, yeah. There's two of them. One of them is where he says that, and then the second one is the fucks the earth part. But like literally, it's like, I loved you for this much, and we fucking chased the moonlight with this. And it's like, are you
Oh, no.
fucking, are you schizophrenic, dude? What the fuck are
No,
you talking
dude.
about?
Dude, he's relating himself to a ancient folklore tale that I can't remember the origin of, but I've heard it retold in podcasts where it's about the sun and the moon, and like the sun had the bigger house and the moon had the smaller house, and like a trickster came up and told, it's an Asian folklore, and the moon basically like got jealous of the sun, and the moon like tried to be the sun, and like it disrupted everything, and eventually like the higher power came down and told them, like, you guys need to get this straightened out, like you need a break. Like, so that's why equinoxes and eclipses take place, because they need a break,
Ah,
and because they want to spend time together, so they're both in the sky during an eclipse together. So, but he's talking about folklore, he's not just like talking about a relationship that went bad.
I mean, okay, well that makes sense now, but the fact that it's not explained in any
Well,
capacity.
What are you fucking do? Say in the beginning of the song, "This is about folklore, people." Yeah.
Not so much this is about folklore, but more like, you know, instead of naming it Cornucopia, why not name it like the name of the fucking story of the folklore it's based off of?
Because there is no real name to it, at least that I know of. Like, there is no name to it. It's just, when I heard it, they just introduced it as like the story of the sun and the moon, and
Oh my god, that's a great title for a fucking song. A love
yes.
story about the sun and the moon.
But I mean, it's a good song. I mean, if you
I
don't-
mean, I'll let
you
you
got no
have that.
mythology.
I'll let you have it.
It's a good song though. I mean, it really is, especially if you're like an eco warrior. Like, it'd be my theme song if I was actually an eco warrior. But number 3, which I figured you would love this song, is "Forget Me Not."
Dude, that we matched on that. That's on my number 3 too.
Because I love like the line like, "I cleared a coffin for you." Like,
What's that?
I love the line. I love the line. I cleared a coffin for you.
Right?
Like that song is so dark, but it's so good. Like the way he sings it. Like I was actually when the hell I was listening to that today. I think on my way home, and like I love that song. I think I hit like back on it to repeat like 5 times because "Forget Me Not" is such a good song. Like it really is. Like I love that song, and it's just it's dark. So that's why I thought I'm like Chancy will love this song because
You weren't wrong. You weren't wrong.
like I mean maybe Rob Williams had it playing in the closet. Actually, no, the CD didn't come out yet, but I mean it's just a good. It's a "Forget Me Not" is an amazing song, and I mean he went through some dark shit in his life. I wish I could actually interview him because he went through some
Well, I
dark
mean,
ass
the
shit.
Armenian genocide's kind of a big fucking deal.
But weren't they kids when that happened? Like, weren't they
No,
just
it's
kids?
never
Like,
stopped. Like it is
oh,
stop. Like if it did, it's like an armistice where they just like, okay, we're in like North and South Korea, kind of. When do we start talking to jam?
hey, brother or sister, if you want to come on the show, we could talk about jam bands all day.
For sure.
Send me a message on Facebook, Jeremy Bryan. We'll hook it up. But anyways, welcome on this show. But number 2 is 100% the title song from this CD, Harakiri. Or am I saying that right? I always question how to say that.
It's either Harakiri or Harakari or
Harakiri,
Harakiri.
Harakiri, I think. Well, no, Harakiri would be Kiri.
That's how it's
No,
spelled.
no, it's spelled Harakari. Yeah. It's too many vowels.
Are you sure about that?
Yeah. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, I just spelled it wrong.
You
Okay,
fuck. I was
my
gonna
bad.
say you're having a stroke, bro. Because it's
Chancy,
Harakiri.
apparently it's one of your friends.
Oh, that Nick, is that you? Because I mean, the jam band thing that got my attention because I was like, yo, that sounds like Nick. Because that's my cousin Nick. He's big into the Dead and shit like that.
Oh, he's a deadhead. I never got those people, but yeah.
Yeah, well, you know.
I mean, jam bands are fun, but it's like
Oh, it's hot.
after
Oh, Vito looked it up for us, and it's Harakiri.
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 Harakiri. Well, that's my second number 2 because yeah, that's my number 2. But because I do love that song, and that's actually my second favorite song on the CD because I love how he says like they crown the sun, like because it's that whole song is so emotional and just the way like I used to blast that in my car at work on lunch. I used to blast that. Like, because whenever he sings, like, they crown the sun, it's so emotional. It's just like, oof. And, like, he's talking about that fish that comes up on land and kills itself, basically. But, I mean, it's just, that whole song is just amazing. Like, oof. I mean, that song right there just always makes me, like, it actually used to make me tear up a little bit when I was younger, but now I don't, I don't know. Well, it just doesn't go. I don't know. I just, But my number 1, and I told you about this, I think before. I think we were. All right. Apparently, our guest is having issues.
That's funny. Our guest is literally commenting on Facebook.
Yeah, Vito. My
It's at
God, man.
McDonald's. That's Wi-Fi.
I mean, I sent her the link again. Maybe she could try clicking on that and getting in better. We'll see.
Maybe.
But my number 1, which is my my favorite song on the CD, and this CD came out at the time when Jersey Shore was popular, so it hit very close to home with this song. And number 1 is Reality TV because I hated that people were in the Jersey Shore and all those stupid ass reality shows, The Bachelor, The Bachelorette, Survivor, all those stupid reality shows. I hated it.
Yeah.
And I felt like he was almost talking about Snooki when he sang like the one line in the chorus, like, I abhor the whore who calls herself reality. Because
Basically.
I relate to that so much. Like that line right there, like is everything to me. Like, what the hell? It's stuck on Vito's comment for some reason, but like I love that line of like I abhor the whore who calls herself reality, because like that's basically what you're doing if you're on reality TV. You're whoring yourself out for the public. So I love that song, and that song to me spoke volumes. And like it's like, oh, and I love the beginning when he's like comparing people piercing their faces like crazy, comparing them to like ancient African tribes and stuff.
Right.
Like everything he says in that song just touches in my heart. Like, because I hate it. I hate reality TV then. I still hate reality TV. I still won't watch
Yeah,
it
I'm
unless
not a
it's like
fan at all.
the only reality TV I could ever get into was like Hell's Kitchen or MasterChef, like things that do with cooking. Because
Nah.
at one point in my life I wanted to be a chef, so I
I
can
mean,
get into
even
those.
so, like,
And also I like Gordon Ramsay. Gordon Ramsay's a funny motherfucker.
yeah.
If I can get him on this show, I would. Like, I've been watching him lately, like on reels on Facebook. Like he does like commentary on people's like cooking videos, and it's like fucking hilarious. Like just like the food they're making looks good. Well, apparently our guest is gonna be a no show for this one because she can't get back on.
It's the first time we have a guest that had an album with no guest. Another,
Well,
it's like two firsts for this episode, for this show, which is awesome.
Well, at least she got to talk about her album.
Yeah, for sure.
And we didn't get to hear her opinions on ours, but
I was
no,
curious about her opinion about.
She did send her top 5 in private chat though for each CD, so I can do hers. But since she's not here to give hers, you can give your top 5 first, then I'll give hers.
Oh, for yours?
Yeah.
Okay. Like I said, I had honorable mentions. Number 8 was reality TV. Number 7 was Harakiri. 6 was Butterfly. Number 5 is Figure It Out. Number 4 is Occupied Tears. Number 3, as we agreed on, was Forget Me Not, because we got it on the same run. Number 2 is Uneducated Democracy. And number 1 for me was Deafening Silence.
Ooh, Deafening Silence is number 1. That's
yeah.
I'm gonna back out for 1 second, but I can still hear you. So, why was Deafening Silence number 1?
I'm not sure exactly. Like it just, there was something about it where like, well, I think that might be the one I was thinking of, where it was like, oh, this reminds me the most of the other band, so I'm gonna write this down.
All right, sorry. My wife had to move the kid who was asleep in our bed.
No, you're good, man. I saw somebody in the comments say that it's somebody scratching. It's probably me, so I'm gonna back out.
No. That was her.
Oh, it was her.
Yeah, that was Christy. Because I mean, that was Freddie who said it back when he was on watching still, and it was her. Like her audio was just bad.
Oh, you don't hear no scratch on my end then?
No, you're crystal clear.
Okay.
But yeah, so Christie's top 5 for my CD were 5 Cornucopia, and number 4 was Ching Chime, which I thought was funny. She put, well, I mean, I put that in too, but like it was like a low honorable mention, like it wasn't like a main thing. So I found it funny that she put that in, because you didn't put that in yours at all, right?
What?
Ching Chime?
Nope.
I mean, I do like that song, but it's definitely not top 5. And number 3 for her was Revolver, which that was in my top 5 honorable mentions at all. Was it in yours?
What was the name again?
Revolver. It was like second or third
No.
track from the end.
No.
I mean, that's a good song, but
But
it's
I
just
couldn't.
not like. It actually reminds me of System a little bit, but like I
A
couldn't.
little bit.
But I couldn't put like Hand Me the Revolver, but like I mean I like that song, but I just couldn't put it in my top 5 honorable mentions. And her number 2 was Figure It Out, which another one which wasn't in mine at all. Like she literally has like the 3 of the songs I left out.
And
But-
on mine, it made my list though, so that's funny.
I do like that song, but I was trying not to pull a Jeremy and say I like every song, so I had to leave some out. And her number 1 actually matched yours, and it was Deafening Silence.
Interesting. That's cool.
Which I mean, yeah, that's cool. So sorry, Christy, you couldn't be here to freaking say the shit yourself or to give you a review. Though I told her to comment it, but I told her to comment it, but she apparently can't get Wi-Fi to even comment on it because she's heading back to me. So maybe she'll comment her review of my CD in a minute. But while we're waiting for that, why don't you tell us the CD you brought, Chancy, and why you wanted to bring it?
My choice this week was an offshoot of Dog Fashion Disco. After Dog Fashion Disco broke up, the lead singer and a few, and I think a guitar player, and maybe put together a band called Polkadot Cadaver. And their first album was called Purgatory Dance Party.
Chloroform girl, how have you been? Don't let me catch you sleeping again. You're only alive because I like you. It's been 3 years since you've seen the sunlight, but I know you're having fun. Bound, gagged, and chained up in my basement.
And
Wait a minute, Dog Fashion Disco's broke up?
no, they're back together now.
All right, I was gonna say, I'm like, because they liked like 2 or 3 of our videos on TikTok, so I was
Fuck yeah!
like they like the episodes I think they're on, but
Yeah. Now they're not broke up right now. They just finished a tour in Wichita, but like back in the 2000s, they like early mid 2000s or somewhere like 2010 or something like that. They either broke up or took a hiatus or something like that. And the lead singer started up like a couple other bands in that time period. But one of which is the one I'm talking about, which is Polkadot Cadaver. And their first.
Before you
What?
were any of the other bands good or?
The other one's called Knife. I think it's either Knives Out or Knife. It's Knives Out. It's pretty cool. They're like each band, like Polkadot Cadaver's got its own kind of sound. Dog Fashion has its own kind of sound. Knives Out has its own kind of sound. They're really good stuff. It's just that Polkadot. I mean, I like Polkadot a lot. Not as much as Dog Fashion, but still, I mean, it's kind of a close run.
They were very close. I mean, they were almost a similar band, basically.
For sure.
But
it was their first album, and I've made so many mentions to like at least one track off of this album that I had to.
As I told Amanda today in chat, like,
yeah,
she should listen to this song since you have sung it to her. So
right. Did she ever get back to you about that? Because I doubt she listened.
No, some racist was fucking with Dre's sister, so there was bigger things going on in chat at that moment than my mentioning a song.
Fair enough.
Which, I mean, Dre, if you hear this, that motherfucker needs to get beat with a lead pipe. So
I second that.
Based on what I saw alone. So yeah, 100%. And I feel for your family, but if I was there, I'd do something about it. But I'm on the other side of the country, so all I can do is feel for you.
Same.
But yeah, I kind of recommended Chancy he bring this album on finally because like he's been mentioning Chloroform Girl since we started this show, and I wanted to hear, and like I think even before that, like he was mentioning it in other things, but I wanted to hear this album finally to hear who the hell Polkadot Cadaver is, which I will 100% say I was not disappointed in any way. And for my review, but I will say that this album did not disappoint me. I mean, it wasn't no Dog Fashion disco album by any means,
No.
because I like a lot more. I mean, well, okay, I can't say that because I got fucking. Well, I have 5 honorable mentions in my top 5, and my top
Damn,
5.
dude, you
So,
got one more honorable mention than I do on my own
So-
fucking album.
well, actually, no, I'm sorry, I got 4. One's just a very long name,
Oh,
but so yeah, but I like this album. I listened to it on my second half of my ride to work today, and like it was just so pleasurable to hear some of these songs, and we'll get into that more in the top 5. But I'll read off it's your CD, so you do your top 5 first, then I'll read off Christie's, and I'll do mine.
all right. So starting off with my honorable mentions. Number 9 is Phantom Limb. I love that. I mean, it's just there's something about it. It's just the way
well,
like.
I don't number my honorable mentions, but that's
Oh,
my honorable
I go
mentions.
I number them because like it's I figure I can't just
Well, actually,
throw them all in the pile.
I guess I technically do, because like the whole time I'm listening to the album, I sit there on my messenger chat to myself, and I like type them in where I think they belong, like in a ranking list from like best to worst, or like favorite to least favorite. So
Right.
I got you. I guess Phantom Limb would be my number 9 too, but
Number 8 is Purgatory Dance Party. I fucking love that, dude. Just it's so fucking. I just love it. Like I was gonna pull a J and just be like, everything's in. And I was like, nah. There's a few of these things I could probably skip.
I mean, okay, well, pulling a J doesn't mean everything's in, because it's impossible to get all this in. But I mean, pulling a J
we're
means
only
you love
3
the
away
whole.
from having all the songs
I mean,
in.
but pulling a J means you love the whole album. Just phrasing.
Right.
We're still doing
Valid.
phrasing, right? Yeah, we're still doing phrasing.
Yeah, phrasing's still a thing. Number 7 is Brainwashed or
Okay,
Brainwash.
that's where we start differing.
Number 6 is Haunted Holiday.
Yeah, okay, definitely.
Then now for my number 5. Number 5 is A Wolf in Jesus' Skin.
Yeah, we're completely different.
Number 4 is What's the Worst Thing That Could Happen. Number 3 is Bring Me the Head of Andy Warhol. Number 2 is Pure Bedlam for Half-Breeds. And I mean, I'm sure no one can guess what my number 1 choice on this album is. Naturally, it's fucking Chloroform Girl.
You're only alive because
I like you. It's been 3 years since you've seen the sunlight, but I know you're having fun.
Dude, I mean, I've listened to so many episodes of this podcast called Hostage, and this song reminded me of like so many of the details in so many of those fucking like cases. Like it's creepy almost in a way, but I love
It's
creepy
so
shit,
awesome.
It is, because
You gotta watch the actual video to it because it's almost even creepier.
Oh, there's a video.
Yeah, you got to look for it online on YouTube. But literally, like most of the time, it's the lead singer just kind of like sitting.
Wait a minute. Wait for it. I'm pulling a fucking Bubba Ray Dudley. There's a video?
Yeah, there's a video. It's basically the lead singer sitting, like, cross-legged, just singing the song.
Yeah.
While the guitar's playing in the background. Like, you don't ever see much of nothing. And then it'll loops in clips from movies and this, that, and the other.
All right, well, I will read Christie's top 5. And she had no honorable mentions for any CD, apparently, because our guests don't hang to the honorable mentions like we do usually. But her number 5 was Death Wish, which actually didn't make mine at all.
Didn't make
I do
mine
like-
either. That's crazy.
I do like that song, but the rest of hers made our top 5. Yeah, our list. Number 4 was What's the Worst That Could Happen. Number 3 was Chloroform Girl. It
Fair.
made the list, dude. It made the list.
Yeah,
Number 2 was Purgatory Dance Party.
that's a good one.
And number 1, which she matched me in number 1, she put Wolf in Jesus Clothing.
Wolf in Jesus Skin.
Yeah, but she put clothing.
Oh,
But I think that's hilarious, so I had to say it. But
that's funny.
now, see, for me on this album, my first honorable mention was Phantom Limb, or my number 9, as you put it. And
Yeah.
the reason I put it, because that song was okay, but the reason I put it was Venture Brothers. And it was one of my favorite villains on Venture Brothers. So
Right.
Phantom Limb. So that literally is just, I mean, it's yeah, she says she thinks it's her because nothing is loading. She has messaged me. And I won't even let her comment, but I'll explain to her after that we read her top 5s. So so that's why I chose Phantom Limb, is because of Venture Brothers, and because I love that it's literally a torso walking around and you can't see his arms or legs. Like that's just,
Right.
I miss Venture Brothers so bad that it ended like a year ago, or like 3 years ago now. Literally, a show that lasted 20 years but had like 7 seasons. Because it took them so long to put out seasons. But luckily I didn't get into it until like season 5, so I had like DVD. My friend gave me all the DVDs for the previous seasons to watch, so I went through the first 5 seasons pretty fast, and I've been rewatching them ever since. But my next honorable mention, or I guess you could say number 8, was Purgatory Dance Party, because the pills are kicking in.
Right.
But my next honorable mention was What's the Worst Thing That Could Happen, because I love that song. It was a good song, and pretty much all these songs were on my top 5 until something knocked them down more.
Right.
Except my number 1 was basically in the same place it's been since I first heard it. But and my last honorable mention, or my number 6, was Soul Survivor, because
Oh yeah.
it reminds me of like Lost, or like one of those shows. Like, you're floating in the ocean. What a good time. Like,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
I love when they do the slow singing, because it's just so funny when they do it. Like the lyrics for everything. My number 5 though was Bring Me the Head of Andy Warhol, because it reminded me of a Marilyn Manson song with the fucking music. Like, do you hear that too when you listen to it? Like the way they have like the meat slicer in the background and shit, like kind of.
I mean, no, I don't necessarily equate it to Manson. It's just I've become so ingrained with like DFD and Todd Smith.
I guess you
and
have, but I mean, when I hear like the industrial noise in the background, it reminds me of Marilyn Manson.
For me, like I'm surprised it's that low, because I love I love how he sings out the chorus. It's like, "Bring me the head of Andy Warhol." Like it's like, what? And then it's like, what what is this? Like, I'm dripping like cocaine down the back of your throat. Like, what?
I mean, I the whole song was good, but it just, I had to say it reminded me of Marilyn Manson because it did. But I mean, it's just, and it's funny because one of my favorite actors who's playing Jeffrey Dahmer right now on Netflix.
Yeah.
He played Andy Warhol in American Horror Story season.
Yep.
So I thought that was kind of ironic too. Number 4 for me was Pure Bedlam for the Half Breeds,
Man.
because I do love that song. And you once you hear my top 3, you'll realize why. But
Fair.
Pure Bedlam for the Half Breeds is a good song, and I did like it. Number 3 is Brainwash. I did love that song too. Number 2, and this is where you're gonna be disappointed. Number 2 was Chloroform Girl.
I mean, at least it's at number 2. It's in the top 3. I'm happy with that.
And as I already kind of mentioned,
Yeah.
number 1 is a Wolf in Jesus Skin because
Right.
it reminds me of like a Powerwolf song almost.
Oh yeah.
Because that's something they
Interesting.
would do. No, they would do that because they sing all the time about they're so like anti-establishment religion that they would do that. So like they would say like that's like a ironic like name for a song they would do, like a wolf in Jesus skin. Like it's just I love that song. Like that song just it's a wolf in Jesus skin. Like it's just like oh that song. Like when I heard that song, I was as soon as I saw the name of the song, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna like that song. I already know it. And then I heard it, and I was like, yep, number 1.
Yep.
Like before any other song plays, I'm like, that's number 1. Nothing's gonna knock it down a peg. Nothing is gonna knock that down a fucking peg. So yeah, I don't know, but it was just I mean, it's the only song that could beat Chloroform Girl.
I mean, I don't know. The first verse of Pure Bedlam is literally like if you watch the video for Pure Bedlam, it's like he sings it so fast that they have subtitles for it.
I know. I can guess that by the way he sings it, but
Like,
I mean,
you've
I
got
will
a
say-
face that only a mother can love, but only under the makeup and skin, it's only skeleton. Like what? Fuck, man. Pure
I know.
Bedlam for half
I mean-
breeds under the hot rain in this tropic purgatory. Come on.
I mean, I could hear the lyrics in it, so I knew what they were saying, but which I mean, some of these songs I had to repeat because I had the window open so I could smoke a cigarette and shit, and like it was like I couldn't hear what they were saying, but so I had to like repeat some of them. But it made for a good, nice car ride in New Hampshire this morning, so I can't complain. But those are my top 5, and we talked about all 3 CDs. Unfortunately, our guest Christy Kanooble from Ho on the Go podcast couldn't be here because she is at a comedy club and she apparently had bad service, and I think her phone's effing up because she says she can't do anything on her phone right now. So it's apparently her, not the StreamYard, because StreamYard is good to us. StreamYard, not a sponsor, but could
But should be.
They should be. I have yet to see them offer sponsorship to anybody, so I don't know. I don't think they need it, but
Probably not.
I doubt they even listen to any of the podcasts done on their service, but they might. But if you hear this, StreamYard, we'll gladly be of service to you and sponsor it for you. But our guest next week is Mr. Josh Williams himself, Mr. Vito.
The Vito.
Does-
If you call him by his government name, he freaks out.
The Vito. Who?
Don Vito.
No.
I actually I gave him that nickname because he used to get all drunk and he'd sound like Bam Margera's uncle. I was like, dude, you sound like fucking Don Vito. What the fuck, man?
I mean, he kind of looked like a kid. I mean, he kind of looked like a young version of him anyway, didn't he?
A little bit.
But Vito, do you know what CD you're bringing? Since I know you're watching.
I think he's in the facilities. Vito, type it out, bro. If I'm not mistaken, I believe he had his heart set on that Loonies album with I Got 5 on it.
Oh yeah, Loonies, who is spelled Luniz.
Mm-hmm.
Not. I keep thinking it's like Lonies. Like, I'm like, who the fuck is that? Who the fuck they be? But yeah, Loonies. All right, well. Oh, yep. Operation Stackola Loonies. So that's gonna be Vito's album. Which I think it's time. I'll give Chancy a moment to think of his choice. But if we're doing another rap battle, which is like our 7th or 8th rap battle, but rap battles never get old, so God love it. I will bring the CD that truly got me into Insane Clown Posse. Insane Clown Posse's Bang, Pow, Boom.
What's it
And once you
called?
hear the
Bang Pow Poo?
Bang, Pow, Boom.
Oh, okay.
I'll send you the fucking link, but because there's like 5 editions, so I gotta send the one I wanted you to hear, but which will be the ultimate edition with all the tracks included. But but it is the first Joker's card in the second deck of Joker's cards. When everybody thought ICP was gone and that they finally got rid of them in this world, they came back with a second deck to wreak havoc on this world. But that's my choice. Sir Chancelot, do you know your CD yet?
It's a toss-up. It's either gonna be I was kind of debating on maybe like KRS-One or
Whoop, whoop. It's a sound of police.
right. That's the sound of the police. Whoop whoop. That's the sound of the beast. Or DMX.
Ooh.
Which album?
X gonna give it to you.
Is it like The World is Dark and Hell is Hotter or something like that?
I don't know his album names by any means. I know his songs.
It's the
I
one
mean,
that's got Rough Riders on it.
That's the same one I think it is, yeah. Stop, drop, knock it down. I forget how the fuck.
Or it was going to be Busta Rhymes' Genesis, which had Breaking Neck on it.
I mean, I listened to Busta Rhymes like once all the way through, but it's been a long fucking time. So any of those works for me. I mean, I have another hour and a half ride each way on next Tuesday too. So unless
You have
we ride
what?
for free- I have another fucking hour and a half round trip car trip.
Oh,
to New
nice.
Hampshire next Tuesday. So I'll have time to listen to all our CDs 100%. So
I will.
And-
I'll finalize my decision and I'll let you know.
all right, because I kind of can't wait to hear what you think of the second iteration of Insane Clown Posse that came out in 2009.
Yeah.
And I kind of can't wait to hear Vito's, because you told me before Vito's an old school juggalo.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah. Vito likes ICP.
So I can't wait to hear his, because like Bang Pow Boom is what got me into Insane Clown Posse, and I'll get more into that next week. But Chancy, where can they find you in the one place they can find you?
I was gonna say, I mean, other than the Book of Faces and this glorious podcast that we have, they can find me on the Bracket Bastards. And I'm also got something in the works. I'm working on something. Actually, I was gonna mention it. If I play my cards right and get all my stuff done accordingly, this time next week, my backdrop's going to be completely different because I'm turning a whole room in my house into a podcast room.
You lucky bastard. My garage will be there eventually to do the same thing, but I have to work on that. So, and then I can smoke cigarettes while I fucking podcast, which make life so much better. So
Right.
much better. I also will probably die faster, but we'll see.
Yeah,
So-
well, gotta die sometime, right?
Fate has already determined when I will die. Those 3 old ladies are sitting there with the freaking scissors ready to cut the cord when it's my time. So no matter what I do, it's not gonna change. So
Indeed,
But-
sir. Indeed.
indubitably. But-
Indubitably.
But we will be back next week. As always, you could find us on Facebook as Paranormal the New Normal / Maniacal Music Musings podcast with the S Facebook group. You could find us on Twitter and the Gram as @Juggalo Boston. You can find us on YouTube as Maniacal Music Musings. Just search it and the channel will pop up. Or you can find us on TikTok as Juggalo Boston Podcast. Until next week, I have been your host, Jeremy, joined as always by my ride or die co-host, Chancy Gripe. Peace, love, and chicken grease. We'll be back.
Yeah.
Your eyes look just like bullet holes. It must be all that crying You haven't learned a thing at all. Another helter-skelter, moonlight has come and gone. The bloody writings on the wall. Chloroform girl, how have you been? Don't let me catch you sleeping again. You're only alive because I like you. It's been 3 years since you've seen the sunlight, but I know you're having fun. Bound, gagged and chained up in my basement. You look just like a zombie, inches from dead and pretty, with purple flowers in your hair. I hear the angels crying just as the devil smiles. All little pigs will die tonight. Chloroform girl, how have you been? Don't let me catch you sleeping again. You're only alive because I like you. It's been 3 years since you've seen the sunlight, but I know you're having fun. Bound, gagged and chained up in my basement. I hear the devil singing the most haunting melodies. I've got this overwhelming feeling of morbid ecstasy coming over me. Chloroform girl, how have you been? Don't let me catch you sleeping again. You're only alive because I like you. It's been 3 years since you've seen the sunlight,